Hi y'all, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to yet another anti-haul. Why, you ask? Because I can. And because no matter how many anti-hauls I do, I don't think I'll ever actually do enough to cover every single thing that I want to talk about. Like, it is the same story. We have gone past the small, teeny, tiny couple of weeks respite we got, where we weren't consistently shilled to and everything, and now we've just opened the floodgates and everything is getting released at this point. And so nature dictates that I should be doing anti-hauls. Anti-hauls are actually a little bit of a struggle for me because I love doing them. You all know I love doing anti-hauls. Part of the problem is with how many that I do, I try to space them out, like doing like once a month. And then when I do that, y'all know that I pre-film. And then by the time the month has come for me to do the other one, it's like everything is not relevant anymore. So if y'all start getting anti-hauls every like 2 weeks, let me know if that's something you'd be opposed to or you're totally down with, because like I said, I love doing these. There is a constant flow of content to be talked about. So I'm probably just going to be keeping myself mentally afloat by doing anti-hauls because they're good for my nitpicky soul. And we have a few things that are just like, we have a fair amount of things that are just like, they're there. Not gonna buy them, and then just a few that are a little bit more opinionated. So we might as well start off with some of the less opinionated one. We have the Melt Cosmetics Cream Blush Lights. Now you probably already know what I'm gonna say about this. If you've seen kind of one of my anti-hauls and you've kind of seen them all, that sounds horrible. But for those of you who don't know, if you don't know then, you know now, I am currently on a low buy. Low. The lowest of the low. I ain't out here just buying shiz willy-nilly. And y'all know that I'm also not a cream product person unless you are the well-formulated Natasha Denona face palettes. That's about it. That's where I draw the line. And as much as I love Melt Cosmetics blush lights, I have their powder ones. I think they're a beautiful, disgustingly underrated product. I don't need cream ones. I don't use cream products. I don't need any single blush compacts. I mean, basically, everything is telling me that I don't need to buy these. And it would be right, because I don't need any blush compacts in my collection. I don't need to be spending, what are these going to be, like $34 or $38 on a single cream blush that's going to sit there and suffer the same fate as the Lime Crime ones where I bought them. I used them, thought they were nice, and then they just sat there. So it's just like, it's nice. I think it's a good addition to the Melt makeup family. For me, there literally is absolutely no reason for me to spend a single cent on any of them. Colors look pretty. Y'all know I like a nice orangey, neutrally, whatever sort of flush. So if any of y'all have purchased them, definitely let me know. I would love to know how the formula is, but this is like, not one of the first ones, but this is definitely a collection from Melt that I'm like, I am so good right now. Like, so good. Maybe if I ever go through one of their powder blushes, maybe I'll buy one of these cream ones. But for how many blushes I have and how much blush I don't need, it's a no for me, dog. Another kind of would be nice if I had money to burn, I would purchase it. But this is the Tatcha The Silk Powder Protective Setting Powder. So, okay, like I look at this and I'm like, oh, that looks like it's nicely formulated. I've seen some really good reviews. Tatcha is overpriced. On the surface, and like I said, if I had money, this would be something where I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. I'm rich, I'm bougie. I mean, I'm not rich and I'm not bougie, so I'm not gonna buy it. But at first glance, this was like interesting. Maybe if I wasn't on a low buy, maybe if I knew that it didn't take literally 10 years to use up a full-size setting powder, maybe I would be more inclined to purchase this. But because I know those things, gonna sit here and I'm gonna look at it with its pretty packaging, but be very content with the full-sized. I've got like 5. I am set. If I had 2, I would be set for like 3 years. I always correlate back to it. I had that little sample of the Cover FX powder, 3 months of consistent daily use. And it was just like that big, you know, and then like normal full-size setting powders are like that big. I've got Laura Mercier, I've got Too Faced, I've got Melt, I've got Cover FX. I mean, I am so good. Setting powders is one of those things I've learned you don't need. I mean, you don't need to stockpile anything, but you know, you really don't, because you're good unless you're wanting to, like, you know, oh, I have this setting powder for this. I've got so much. Tatcha is overpriced. Let me know if it's any good, because I saw it and I was like, setting powder I feel is something that they could do right, and they could create something really beautiful. Definitely let me know. But I have a butt ton of setting powders and I don't need any more. I have the Anastasia one too, and the Jeffries. I have so many setting powders. Okay, all right. We talked about some of those. Let's talk about some like things that I kind of have opinions on. There's nothing here that I'm gonna like really tear a complete new one. I love how I say that, because 9 times out of 10 I'm like, oh, this one's not gonna be that opinionated, and then I'm like, take them to the guillotine. I mean, I escalate very quickly. What can I say? We have the e.l.f. X Chipotle palette. Great. Now we're collaborating to make food themed makeup with restaurants. I mean, y'all know how I feel about the majority of food themed makeup. Y'all know how I feel about the majority of licensed material collaborations, and this takes both of them and puts them together in a somewhat appealing looking way. I will admit that this color story does not offend me. It's got the green and some of the browns and some of that, you know, I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. It's not an offensive color story, but it's a non-offensive color story that's been put into a licensed release that is going to be limited edition. So even if I loved the color story, I ended up loving the whatever, it's limited edition. Y'all know how I feel about limited edition. And y'all know how I feel about, I'm like, you know, if we're doing what you know, it's going to be Chick-fil-A. Next, we're just going to go down the major restaurant chains. You know, we're gonna have McDonald's, we're gonna have Burger King, and we're gonna have Wendy's. And hey, that may be some people's shiz, that may be their jam, but for me, I do not need my makeup to be related to fast food restaurants. I mean, okay, I know that Chipotle is like, we're fresh, we're amazing. And I'm like, yeah, if you compare it to other things you're competing with, but you're not necessarily the epitome of health in the restaurant industry. So it's one of those things where it really just, I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, just got Chipotle. Why? It really just, I mean, I have written down here when I was filming this all out, I had some points and I was like, I'm gonna talk about this. Because it was like cute. You know, when we started with the whole food thing, when we started with the whole licensed food thing, there's that one Korean brand that did the Hershey's ones. You know, that was kind of cute. That was kind of funny. But then after it keeps getting done repeatedly, it stops being cute. You know, it stops being a novelty. You know, you see it every once in a while. You're like, oh, look at that. The makeup is collaborating with Chipotle. Isn't that all kinds of fun and funky and fresh? It's not fresh anymore. It is outdated. It is rotting. It needs to be thrown out because we do it so many times. And it's like there isn't a brand that's possibly not an offender. You know, it could be like, oh, you know, hip dot, you know, it's e.l.f. And e.l.f. is just like, all right, let's cash in on this some guacamole. And maybe it's because I've never been a huge fan of Chipotle. I mean, I have some friends that like live and die by that shiz, but it's not really my thing, you know. And then when you take it and you put it into eyeshadow, I'm just like, all right, I guess that is a choice. Whether it's a good one or not, I don't know. Like I always say, if any of y'all bought this shiz and it's amazing, let me know. But I absolutely do not need and absolutely do not want a e.l.f. or any makeup company ex Chipotle eyeshadow palette. I will admit though, if we were gonna go like the full gambit on this and they had like the eyeshadow palette, if they did a lipstick or a liquid lipstick that was like avocado green and it was like guac, that would be cute. I would buy that. But I'm not gonna buy the Chipotle themed eyeshadow palette. There's nothing about it that says I need it. I have green eyeshadows galore. I'm not entirely sure about e.l.f.'s eyeshadow quality. It's never been something that's amazed me. Even though it's affordable, which is kind of nice, it just kind of doesn't have anything going for it. For me. Okay, another one, we're going back to affordable, and this was when I'm like, are we seriously, is Trend Mood seriously posting about this? I understand she's supposed to post about makeup, that is her gig, that is her thing, that is that, but when she was like, oh my goodness, available now, Walmart Rugrats makeup. Again, I am offended on the sense of licensing, and it's like, are we really, totally grown adults really going to Walmart to buy this stuff for the makeup? I looked at that eyeshadow palette and I'm like, I can tell you right now that's going to be dusty, that's going to be pasty, it is not going to be good quality. You're buying it for the nostalgia. You're buying it because it's Rugrats. That is what they're banking on. You know, you got the eyeshadow palette that's in the shape of Angelica's head. Then you got the lip glosses that's got the Tommy and the Chucky and the Phil and the Lil. And I'm just like, I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so freaking good. I'm just intellectual property burned out. Like, it's kind of like with pop figures, because I love me some pop figures, but you remember back in the day when pop was like, when it was like first on the thing, you were lucky. You felt so amazed if like a TV show or something that you liked got turned into a set of pops, whereas now everything has a set of pops. Like if it's a video game or it's a TV show or it's like even just a movie, just everything has a pop figurine. So it used to be this like fun, novel thing that was more exciting. Then now that there's like so much of it, it's just lost its luster, lost its mysterious appeal. And so seeing this, I'm just like, it's kind of like the same thing when Hot Topic did that Rugrats palette and everybody lost their freaking, or was it Nickelodeon? I can't remember if it was a Rugrats or a Nickelodeon palette, but everyone lost their mind. The quality was awful, but everyone bought it, partly because Jeffree Star reviewed it, but everyone bought it because they were like, nostalgia, Rugrats, Nickelodeon, and they were like taking these things and they're just like, give me the nostalgia. And that's what these companies are banking on. Like I've seen the stuff at Walmart. I actually saw it before she posted it and I was like, okay, so this is where we've landed now. I'm just like it's just like my thing. It's just like, is anyone in the beauty community buying this for the makeup? Are we buying it for the collector nostalgic aspect of it being in its quirky packaging? It's kind of in the same vein of those like Ulta Disney Villains Funko Pop things. I was tempted by those. I wanted to buy them, but a lot of y'all have been like, yeah, the quality wasn't the best. And it's not. You know, when you look at these things, I feel like at this point, we can look at something like this and we can tell that it's not, you know, they're focusing on the packaging, on the marketing. These releases are not meant to be makeup focused. We're using makeup as a means to funnel in these creative properties so we can make more money. And I understand marketing, making money, businesses, I understand. Like I said, I am a consumer and I'm allowed to say what I want to say. What I have to say about these things is like, if you are looking to buy makeup, don't buy this shiz. Don't buy this shiz. Don't give in to the machine of consumerism. Okay, we're going to talk about something that it's more of a discussion point. It's not so much that the collection offends me. It's so much that I look at it and I'm like, I have some things I would like to say. And that's going to be the KKW Beauty Spring collection. I'm sorry, looking at this, nothing about this makes me think, yes, that is worth spending high-end makeup prices on, because that's what she prices her products. She makes them expensive. They high-end. But looking at this, absolutely no aspect of it screams high-end. In fact, if you want to get this eyeshadow palette, just buy the Colourpop Little Ray of Sunshine and the Big Poppy palette and you are set. You've spent half of what you would on her eyeshadow palette and you've got the same thing. And on top of that, I mean, look at it. Just looking at the construction of this. Can you look at that and think, ah, yes, this has been manufactured in such a superior way that it merits that price gauge when it looks almost obviously like it was manufactured in the same factory that does Colourpop. I mean, look at, they took the Little Ray of Sunshine and the Big Poppy shades and they're like, all right, we can't have it look too similar, and they just did it in a different layout and they slapped her name on it. I mean, even the blushes, like I shiz you not. Cute Colourpop blushes here. Boom, boom again. Do these not look, if not identical, disgustingly similar? I mean, do they really think we don't look? Do they really think we don't notice similarities? I guess what I'm coming to say is like when you look at these brands and these brands where it's like their name and people lose their mind because it's Kim Kardashian doing I'm like, if you want the look, just buy as much as I have and whatever, and I shiz talk Colourpop, just buy some less expensive. I mean, I'm not guaranteed that it's the same sort of stuff, but I'm just saying from an outward looking in, it looks freakishly similar, and I feel like you'd be hard-pressed not to get a very similar experience makeup quality-wise if you bought that or the Colourpop. That would be, if I had money to burn, that would be videos I would try to do, or be like, I'm gonna buy this, so we're gonna quality test this shiz out, because I can definitely dupe that shiz out. I mean, it just looks sad. It's like, throw some matte neutrals in there and some kind of basic looking blushes and put my name on it. You know, at least Kylie does like themes, and I understand like Kim is like the older, the more mature makeup brand, but at least Kylie does like themes, you know? She had like the whole Stormy thing and she creates aesthetics and everything like that, whereas with Kim it's just like dump it into some really boring basic packaging so that we can charge a premium on it because it's got her name on it. I looked at that and I was just like, there's nothing about it that screams anything worth spending any money on. You can get this from any company, but we're not getting it from any company because we're getting it from Kim Kardashian, because she's Kim Kardashian, because she's Natasha Denona, because she's I just don't like it, and I'm not gonna buy it. Hey! If we're talking about Kim K, we might as well talk about Colourpop. I Snapchatted about this where I had just finished like filming, well not finishing, I finished editing and uploading an anti-haul because like I said in the beginning, I film these pretty freaking regularly. And it had been like a couple days since I got it up and I had a few things on my list, right? And I'm just minding my own ding-dang business, and Colourpop decides to have the audacity, the absolute balls to release yet another collection. I mean, at this point, if I talked about every single thing from Colourpop that they released that I didn't want to buy, my anti-hauls would be nothing but Colourpop because they keep releasing so much. This is the Lemoncello collection, and it's just second verse, third verse, fourth verse, fifth verse, 100th verse, same as the first. It's just kind of a neutrally looking palette. It's got a pop of blue in it. I swear to God, if we have another insurgence of neutral palettes with a pop of blue, I'm gonna take a bazooka to the internet and just light it on fire and walk away. Because I have lived through the pop of blue. And I thought maybe the next thing was going to be a pop of green or a pop of purple. We'd seen that for a little bit. And then I saw this and I had so many just flashbacks to all the anti-haul things I'd had. I remember Kim did a pop of blue palette. Smashbox did a pop of blue palette. And it was this whole just like, you know, you just have a boring palette. And they're like, let's stick one really eye-catching shade, and you'd look at it, you'd be like, well, I don't have these neutrals in this sort of layout with a pop of blue. This is what I'm missing in my life. When in reality, if I wanted to do a neutral palette with a pop of blue, I'm gonna take one of my Colourpop singles, pop that shiz out and stick it on there and be like, look, it's a pop of blue, and I can move it literally among any of my neutral palettes. And then Colourpop was like, let's do neutrals with a pop of blue. I mean, is it 2017 again? It's just the same thing they keep doing over and over and over again. Like, if any company is gonna see me to my grave, it's gonna be Colourpop, because I love so many varying products by them. But at the same time, they are one of the companies that makes me the most mad. I am just so done with their absurd nonsense. Like, the amount of stuff they release. And the thing is it's not just, I say this every time, it's not just a little something here or there. It is these big, ginormous, full-blown collections. You know, I feel like that Colourpop has become like the fast fashion company of the makeup industry right now, where it's like, they're easy, they're accessible, they're cheap, but there isn't that same consistent quality that they used to have. And it's also sort of in the same way of fast fashion. You see the same thing over and over and over again, but we keep buying it because it's inexpensive and accessible. And I mean, some of it is good. Like I said, that I love their blushes, their monochromatic palettes, you all know. When I finally bit the Colourpop, and it was last year, or the year before, I think, when I finally got bit by the Colourpop bug, I went hard. I have 3 pans of their single eyeshadows. I've got a butt ton of their palettes, you know, and then for them to just turn around and be like, we're just releasing the same stuff over and over and over again. They have the exact same shadows in their pool, and they just kind of, all right, we mix it around a little bit together, and we're like, okay, here's this palette. And they're like, what's it missing? A pop of blue. Because that makes absolute sense. I'm just like, can y'all stop? Can you not? Why is no one? Where is your mother? Where are your parents? Colourpop needs parental guidance at this point. You know, they need someone to tell them, sweetie, this isn't a good idea, okay? You need to slow down. You need to calm down. I love how I'm telling a makeup company to calm down while I myself am very much not calm. I mean, I'm fine. I'm not bugging out of my head, but I'm clearly have a level of agita with this. I just am so sick and tired. I'm not even trying to hide it anymore. Like, it used to be like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. Now I'm like, I hate it. That's stupid. That's dumb. I need them to stop. Why are they re-releasing the same thing over and over again? You know, I don't even have any apologies for y'all at this point. I used to be like, well, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna say it how it is. I am too old to mince my words. So, clearly, I'm not gonna buy it. Then we have something that is also sort of a talking point. This. Feel free to disagree with me. I always say that. Be nice, whatever. But we all have different opinions, expectations, everything like that. But Jaclyn Hill, someone who I honestly have absolutely no intention of purchasing anything from her. I've heard her highlighters are the bomb diggity shiznit. That's great. Someone wants me to send me a highlighter by her. That's fine. I will not be buying it of my own volition. And so we've got Jaclyn Hill, right? So we've got, aside from the fact that she is not my favorite person, I don't like Jaclyn Hill as a human being. And it was announced a while ago by now, I'm sure, that her Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics is going to be sold at Ulta, which, I mean, okay, let's get into the meat of this. This is what annoys me about the elitism within the beauty community. Jaclyn Hill is someone, yes, she's self-made, yes, you know, she's worked and she deserves her all whatever, but Jaclyn Hill is also someone who, in the community, as an influencer, as a person, has been very, very privileged. You know, yeah, she's had her controversies and everything like that, but at the same time, she's also been able to come back from that. She's also have people, you know, even though she does things that aren't necessarily the best, they're like, oh, it's fine, it's whatever. You know, like I said, she's been very privileged. She hasn't had to deal or actually take responsibility for a lot of her wrongdoings. And so to then see that being rewarded to have her cosmetics line sold in a big box store is pretty significant. And what I don't like about it is the fact that this is someone who already makes a butt ton of money. This is someone who already has a huge presence. And then to take that and put it into a store, it's like they're ignoring so many other companies out there that would kill, that would just die and deserve an opportunity like that. When Ulta initially said they were like Black Moon Cosmetics, I was like, yeah. I don't think they're sold there anymore, but I was so happy when Melt Cosmetics got picked up by Sephora. I was down, I was with it, because not only is it great for the company themselves, but it also is an opportunity to increase access, increase revenue. I mean, it's just a positive all around for Sephora or Ulta or whichever store decides to pick up this company. And Jaclyn doesn't need that. She's already got plenty of exposure, plenty of reputation. Just seeing that her, it kind of just reinstates the fact that there is a certain amount of status quo, a certain level of privilege and alliance that is within the even inner works of the community. Now, I don't deal with contracts. I don't know anything about business. I don't know nothing about marketing. And so I don't know what goes into a company's eligibility to be sold in Ulta or Sephora. But I can think of quite a few companies that I would rather have than Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. I mean, it makes sense. But just because it makes sense doesn't mean I have to like it. It just irks me when you see someone who already has a huge platform, you see someone who already has had all these fantastic opportunities, and someone who gets a lot for honestly nothing. I just think that the resources would be better placed with, supporting indie companies, supporting maybe more, Black owned or minority owned companies, put that in the spotlight rather than just being like, okay, it's Jaclyn Hill, automatic pass into Ulta. I understand it makes sense. I understand why it's been done. She, despite everything, her stuff sells. That is the bottom line. And it just kind of made me feel a certain way where I was like, okay, all right, Jaclyn Hill and Ulta, great. Wonderful. It didn't really do it for me. I just, I'd be more okay with Lunar Beauty, and I understand, but I feel like Lunar Beauty is like a bit more indie, a bit more, I don't know. I feel like Manny's not making as much on his makeup line as Jaclyn is making on hers. That's just my assumption. If y'all love Jaclyn Hill, that's great. I think maybe at times she should have to work a little bit more for the accolades that she gets. All right, let's have this is just another talking point. This is an old release. Well, define old. It's been, I think it was last year, maybe this year. I don't know, everything kind of blends together. But this is a Too Faced release. We've seen them on these lists quite a lot, and they were like, all right, we are going to make a lipstick and we're gonna call it Ladyballs. I mean, okay, all right, as we like to say, that was a choice, that was a decision that they decided to make. And I feel like Too Faced is one of those companies that likes to pretend, that likes to infer that it is all for women empowerment. Too Faced is like, we're feminist friendly, we like breaking the mold, we want you to be a bad bee, that type of thing. But at the same time, it's like using the cloak of feminism to actually fuel the agenda of not so subtle misogyny. I mean, this is one thing. I'm just like, okay, why does anything empowering and feminism have to do in reference to male genitalia? I don't get it. What is empowering about being like, I've got lady balls? what part of that makes me think I feel like a strong, empowered woman? You know, in hearing from my brothers and my father and my male friends and my husband with how like uncomfortable balls are, I don't want any. Thank you very much, feminist or otherwise. I just think that Too Faced really honestly tries too hard, and it really comes off as disingenuous and a little bit tasteless. You know, it's one thing to, you know, like if we were to, you know, release a line of lipsticks and to have each of them named after like, you know, a famous woman in history, you know, that sort of thing. You know, I feel like that could be cool. That could be, you know, we could have like, you know, a red lipstick and call it Marilyn, and we could, you know, I feel like that would go over so much better in a feminist way than, like I said, trying to be in your face, trying to be funny. I mean, Too Faced always does that. They like making, you know, the glow job and the, you know, pat the puss. You know, they like doing that. It's not what I consider empowering, obviously. Whatever empowers you. But just from like a standpoint of this, I'm just like, really, we decided that we're going to come out with a new line of lipsticks, and the best thing we can come up with is feminism fashioned with a patriarchal bow on the top. I'm just, like I said, I want to see, what did I say here? Why does feminism have to involve empowerment by way of male genitalia? I just don't understand it. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm empowered, and I'm, you know, I can be empowering with having to make reference to something that's like a male thing. You know, I'm not about equality because I want to be a dude. I'm not about equality because I want to be compared to a dude. I'm about equality because I want the same rights and the same respect that a white cis male has. You know, that's what I want. I don't want balls. I mean, I don't think dudes even want balls. I'm just like, what is this? This is where we're at. This is where we're at, people. We are at the point where it's gonna be a lipstick line called Ladyballs. I can't. All right, and that is where I am ending this particular anti-haul. Like I've said in so many of my videos recently, I am just doing what makes me happy, and if the people come, the people come. If they don't, that's their loss, I suppose. I thank all of y'all who have been continuously supportive and wonderful and amazing. You guys are the greatest. Your comments and your everything really does lift me up and remind me why I enjoy doing that. And why I enjoy doing that is the engagement and finding like-minded people and really discussing with y'all, you know? So thank you to everyone who's been supportive. I would love to hear what y'all have to say about these products. Let me know if you'd be okay if we have like anti-hauls more frequently, because that would make them a little bit more recent, a little bit more relevant. I also don't want to like oversaturate you all with just like nothing but anti-hauls. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!